Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is another race day, and we are here at Road Atlanta for round number 7 of the ARA Porsche Cup. Season 14, the penultimate round of the championship, and we are on the full course here. My name is Adam Reed. I'll be alongside Alexa Marshall, and of course, as always, Jim Cunningham in the production booth. It's going to be an epic night of racing on this warm day. And of course, for us, it's getting close to the evening, but for our drivers, they are absolutely on the markers here, trying to get around. The championship battle continues to close up here in both our pros and our amateurs. We look for an absolutely stunning second to last round here at Road Atlanta. Welcome to the stream.
Indeed it is, Adam. I mean, Road Atlanta is just one of those circuits. It really puts a testament to the driver's skill, and although some people can confuse it accidentally with Road America sometimes within the names, it's a very nice circuit around here. But of course, you did mention the championship. That's definitely going to be an interesting one coming into this as we roll into these final few rounds. We will wait and see how it will fare up between all these drivers. But qualifying out there at the moment, 16 minutes in, 22 overall. And this is how it sits. For the pros, it is Paul Jouffreau who leads with 627 points to his name. Tony Despotakis, the Greek driver, then sits in P number 2 with 579. Then Dominic Beck, P number 3 with Corey Lazarus, P number 4. Kim Borkland in P number 5 with Christian Carlson in P number 6. Pascal Wheel sits in P number 7 with Helder Sakila in P number 8. Steve Kleiss sits P number 9 with Davidas Laurenonis in P number 10. Then Frank Ruiz, Kevin Shavler, James Parker, Oliver Schultz, Joey Petrig, Jason Munson, Ben Pedersen, and then of course you've also got Ludwig Exelson on there at the moment. It is definitely a tight fight up top, however it is pretty close between P3 and P5. Into the amateurs, it's Lenny Kiefer who leads at the current moment, 337 points to their name, but Tristan Engelstadt not far behind on 416 then, very, very close, is Gordon Howe and Ruben Iglesias. It's then Alex Russell, Joey Ireland, Thomas Worm, Ryan Stringer, Max Nevin Shani, Ruben Cato, Danny Huntley, Dylan Ham, Philip Piniak, Christian Malarick, Xavier Bullier, Alice Kisser, Florian Inga, and then you've also got Walid Feza in there. This is the interesting point to look at here, Adam. It is very, very close within that amateur category. So I definitely, like it has been for the majority of this season, the mid-pack and the amateurs seems to be where the main battles are. But of course, never count out pro.
No, absolutely. You're going to be looking at both championships here. In all honesty, both are looking in super close as we head into these last moments of this qualifying session. So a lot of our drivers have been really working hard to try and get some of the final pieces of practice in. You've seen there at the top of the standings, it's Paul. It was Corey Lazarus with a 1:19.782 just on his outlap, so he's going to try and set a lap time very soon. We've got a pretty big grid here, if I do, say so myself. 27 cars will take to the circuits, apart from, well, it seems like David Aslorinonis from our timing screens is all the way down to the bottom with no lap time sets, not been out on the circuit as far as I'm aware. But hopefully he will be able to maybe set a lap time very soon. But you're seeing now the 1:85 there of Corey Lazarus, our current pole sitter. And then Sebastian Oberstdorfer, the Austrian driver, of course, a brand new driver to the championship. Of course, look, with the Lion GP team. So, well, he won't be scoring any championship points for them. He just is out here to potentially maybe even prepare for next season. A lot of drivers already starting to maybe think about trying to look into season 15 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. Very much a championship that I think a lot of maybe young drivers or maybe inexperienced drivers who maybe start getting into. Of course, you do need a little bit of experience just because, you know, you're dealing with such high grids, you know, some big numbers in this championship. But you know what we're seeing out here at the moment are some great lap times being inputted on a track that is pretty hot. It can be pretty warm over there in the States. We just see, I think, Obensdorfer, his livery just loading in. So now we get that beautiful green and black. Well, it's actually a mix of dark green and lime green. For the Austrian driver, he'll hop over the chicane and cast his way over to that final corner, still sitting on that third row of the grid. So some pretty strong times in those last couple of moments.
Indeed it is, and if you are new, like Adam might have said, or you're just tuning in, there's Petrig goes to P number 3 there, or you're new to racing, or even iRacing. You see on the bottom of your screen the lap times coming in, and you see the little boxes. Yellow is no improvement, green means personal improvement, and purple, of course, will mean a session fastest, as you get Carlson coming in the line here, around the final corner, and he is going to go and stay where he is for the time being. However, I am going to mention this, Adam. How are we looking at turn number 1 tonight? Because with Road Atlanta, at least in my experience, it can get pretty spicy going down there. Also with these S's that you just see over the crest, as they are going all over these curbs here surrounded by the greenery in America. Really is a testament to watch all these drivers, but as usual, Corey Lazarus is up there on pole position, and it is no surprise from the man from Oceania.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be definitely an interesting one. I think Paul Dufault did indeed join very late into the session. I didn't see him during the practice time, but he just managed to get in time for qualifying. So I don't know if he was doing any private times. Maybe some professional drivers out there might like to just maybe go away from the public session and then go into their kind of main like little lobby, their self lobby before joining back in for qualifying. So it looks like we will be able to give you a grid here, and already you're seeing some pretty interesting names on that left hand side. But here is the main grid. Corey Lazarus will be on pole position ahead of Paul Dufault on the front row of the grid. Joe Petrik, the Swiss driver, will be alongside Tony Despotakis, with Oliver Schultz, the Polish driver, looking pretty strong there in P5 ahead of Sebastian Oberstdorfer, and then Kim Andre Bjorklund for Sim Racing Norway. He'll be joined alongside his teammate Christian Carlson, Jason Munson, who gets his best championship finish, his best qualifying results of the season. Frank Porte Ruiz, the Mobile One Porsche Super Cup driver, starts in P10 ahead of Helder Sequeira. And Dominic Beck there in P number 12. Moving further down, we all see the 7th row of the grid. That is Gordon Haug, the pole sitter for the Sim Racing Norway team, and the amateur, with James Parker there in 14th. with Tristan Engelstad in 15th and Alex Russell, the Spanish driver, in P16. Pascal Veal ahead of Ryan Stringer, with Lenny Kiefer, the amateur championship leader, just a second off of the pole sitter. Then we find Alex Kassir and then Kevin Chevalier for the Unity Racing team. Max Chai ahead of Ruben Iglesias for the ACA esports team. He'll be alongside Thomas Verm on the 12th row of the grid. Then we move further down where we find Ruben Cueto and Danny Huntley to round off the grid, and on the what will be the 14th and final row of the grid, a lonely Davidas Laurinonis from Lithuania. We go racing here at Road Atlanta, and on towards turn number 1. It's going to be a pretty spicy one, and they head their way towards the first corner. Drew Fro sticks his way on the inside, is trying to get his way past Lazarus in these early stages. The Unity Racing team driver will be side by side with the man from Australia. Cars off in the background. No surprises there. It can get pretty dangerous in these early stages, but it looks like they have all managed to get away pretty fine and dandy. As Corey Lazarus lost another place potentially. He had to the debutant of Sebastian Obendorfer, and that is a stonking start there from the Austrian. They head their way further down. There's a car off on the right hand side of the circuit, and I think the Austrian it might be poised. Sorry, that my error. That's Joey Petrick there, who is looking to try and get past the Frenchman in these early stages of the first race, but they'll head their way down that back straight, and the Lion GP drivers are absolutely roaring their way, trying to see if they can potentially pass the Pro Championship leader.
Indeed it is. Tristan Engelstad, Ruben Cueto, James Parker and possibly Pascal Wheel were the drivers caught up in that incident at turn number 1 in the opening stages as Laurinonis gets past Worm a little bit further back. This is the fight that's now starting to unfold. A bad start there for Corey Lazarus, so not what he would have hoped for, as Munson right now on the back of the newcomer of Auburn-Forth. So they are making their way through. Porte Luismo going to be making his way through into the right-hander, and that is lovely and tidy. He's going to possibly try and fight his way through. We saw 2 more drivers going side by side through those segments of corners into the S's. Now you look at this fight, you've got Beck, Munson, Carlson, Howe, Zakela and Kiefer all locked in the back of that. Don't forget, you've also got the amateurs out there. Gordon Howe does have Zakela in between himself and Kiefer. You already see people trying to go for moves in the background there, as it's all to play for, and you see on the left-hand side of your screen how it does currently sit. 5 amateur drivers there, 12th, 14th, 15th, 16th and 19th pro, the entirety of the top 8. So that is how they are sitting at the moment. It's a pretty nice fight as they head over the crest and into the second segment and the second part of this lap. But Petlik is not want to give this up yet. Corey Lazarus and Despotakis already having their moment further back. Petrik though trying to make his way through as quick as possible here.
Yeah, Petrik's had a podium already at the second race at the Hockenheim ring. He'll be hoping to go for a second here. We get a brilliant camera angle, riding with all the elevation here around Road Atlanta. He's slowly closing in on the Frenchman of Paul Dufro, who I think if Petrik does decide to launch an attack, I think he will be okay, kind of sitting back a little bit. He's only focusing on getting those points in toward the right-hander. Bit of a moment there for Petrik, and he's going to lose a good chunk of half a second. And they carried their way now down the hill, and Tony Despotakis, the other Lion GP driver, is right in behind his teammate. So will there potentially be a couple of rulings here? Because remember, Despotakis is right in the heart of the championship battle, and I don't suspect that Petrik will be trying to attack for too long. Here's the rookie of Obendorfer. He looks to try and launch an attack here on this Sim Racing Norway car of Kim Andre Bjorkland. They'll run their way now down the back straight and on towards the very, very tricky chicane. You see the cars all line aside for now. A couple of maneuvers have been made up 9 for David Laurinonis in his SRB motorsport car. He might be able to get past Ryan Stringer, who's just been overtaken by Kevin Chevalier. Incident there. That's going to be Sim Racing Norway driver of Christian Carlson, who was quite up high in the Drivers' Championship standings, and that's going to pay dividends to his efforts, and he's now going to have to absolutely attack the rest of the circuit. Auto hope the second heat goes to him.
Yeah, that is not what you would have hoped for there. Maybe a lapse of judgment into the braking zone as you're going to have wheel-to-wheel side-by-side between Stringer and Lauren. They have been battling so has Shavler for the past previous lap. You can see on the timing board, they have been going at it left and right and centre all over these curbs, looking for an opportunity right up the chuff as you head into the right-hander and down the hill. Let gravity do the work to give you extra speed. Maybe grab a bit more momentum to make a move on the right-hand side, but these curbs are going to bite back if you take them wrong. Not as bad as other circuits, but still, you can make one mistake and it's all over. As down the inside, he's going to look Lauren, but he's not going to get it that time round. Stringer's going to put a good defensive wall up, and he's turned it, and he's turned that Porsche as wide as a Formula 1 car is nowadays, and it is doing him absolute dividends. He's doing absolutely amazing in this as you get the helicopter cam and you get the perfect shot heading down this, using momentum, using the toe under the rear wing of this. He's going to have that advantage down into the braking zone, wanting to be on that left-hand side. He may even get it done beforehand, which, yes, he will, a little bit later on the brakes, and that's going to let Lauren get past Ryan Stringer as Porte Ruiz getting past the debutant of Orbefor as they are making their way through. This is a field that is coming to fight. Don't forget, this is only race number 1 of race number 2, and now that is getting very close to the rear end of Petrick there. Surely, Corey Lazarus is making his way through at the current moment, as it does seem like Petrick and Despotakis also did swap places, so you see the elevation, you see the gradients. This is really a bumpy circuit tonight.
That was a bit dicey, wasn't it? Some really good action here at this circuit. Now let's carry on with the action here, because Corey Lazarus has got a couple of places that he's hoping to get back. Started on pole position, but it just didn't go his direction, and he'll be looking to try and potentially to find any form of a way of gaining on a couple of cars here. We're going to have a potentially look at a replay here as well of a couple of instances back at lap 1. We'll show them in just a moment, but here is the start from well, we're looking at the car in focus. Here is Pascal Field. We've got these tag up there in toward the right hander. Oh, goes over the front nose there, and oh, there's a couple of cars in fact collected. So the RT Esports car goes across the front of, I think it's one of the Andorra Lavella drivers. That would be, I'm not entirely sure who that could be, but it looks like, yeah, not entirely sure who that will be. Parker and James Parker and Tristan Engelstad was involved in that one as well. So yeah, but it was definitely one of the ACA Esport team drivers that kind of went across the nose of. But let's have a look at Christian Carlson here, down in towards the chicane. This is where the contact happened. He was on that inside line and kind of backed out of it, and then yeah, a bit of contact there between the two cars. Very lucky not to be in the path of anyone, and also I think that was Kevin Chevalier getting involved in a couple of battles as well in his own right in the background there. So I think a little bit unlucky for Christian Carlson, but he just wasn't alongside the car here. And this is Lazarus here. Has he had a bit of an off track here down in towards the flying sequence of the circuit? That was where unfortunately one of the Ferraris came to an end in the first minute of the most recent Petit Le Mans. But yeah, wide off the track for the Australian driver, and he yeah, I believe the Oceanian driver. And we now look back to the live action here as he's still chasing down Joey Petrick.
I mean, he's going to want to chase them down here. It's on for the podium here, as he is going to look for the inside line as they head up and through on the outside now. Inside line going to get the nose cut off, but he's going to keep it there with him. Petrick goes a little bit wide. They do make contact. Both keep it going straight, but that is now going to be nice and tidy. Schultz, though, will follow through. Perfect opportunity and advantage taken for him. Now that's going to back Lazarus up into Bjorklund, Porte Ruiz, Orbefor and Munson, as well as possibly Dominic Beck. So pro positions all up for grabs, and either way you look at it, it's going to get a little bit more spicy as this race goes on. Carlson getting past Russell a little bit further back. In fact, Russell is dropping down the order, so something has happened to the Spaniard as they head round and over the crest of this circuit, as it seems like just a simple off track as Lenny Kiefer gets to Kehler, but we do get a replay here. Is it just an off track? We'll wait and see as you see cars battling. up ahead. If I'm going to guess, I've seen it happen plenty of times before at this circuit. Too late on the brakes and lock up straight. Oh, not even into the grass, just straight into the barrier that time round. So that is not going to be nice for that car anymore. Think there's maybe a little bit of slip and slide, but that is going to be a bit of front end damage on that Porsche Cup car. But he is holding it straight for the time being, so thankfully being able to keep this race going. But we're approaching the 10-minute mark, and this is getting even better around here, Adam.
It is indeed. My big question is, how did the car survive? You know, you were pretty much hitting a concrete wall at that stage. So he's very lucky to keep the car intact here. And we now look at... well, of course, former single-seater driver Frank Porte-Ruiz moving from the French F4 Championship into the Mobile 1 Porsche Super Cup Series. Did 5 rounds this season of the championship as a guest driver as he looks to take his racing career from simulators to the real world. So Frank Porte-Ruiz currently sitting in 6th place here, up 4 places from his starting position of P10. So what can the privateer do? Meanwhile, we're looking back here with Christian Carlson because he's now searching down the barrel here with Helder Sequeira and Lenny Kiefer going and doing battle here. This is pretty important here because, of course, Helder Sequeira has now just moved past Lenny Kiefer, who now sits second in the amateur running, and he's trying to now find a way past Gordon Haug. So if Lenny Kiefer can potentially just try and keep with Helder Sequeira, not do too much battle, I think they could potentially get past, or definitely for sure latch onto the back here of Gordon Howard, because you can just see him there up ahead. The gap around about a second and a half. It's just about how easy is it going to be to kind of gain on that, and trust me, it's going to be pretty difficult because already Sequeira is already losing 0.2 of a second, and that wasn't the apex whatsoever there for the Andorran driver. And I think Lenny Kiefer is going to be very visibly frustrated. He's going to be thinking, come on, we've got a car up ahead that I need to go and catch, but you're just holding me up here. So obvious frustration here from Lenny Kiefer, but I think he's just got to calmly and sensibly just try and maneuver past that ACA esports team car once again, which is, you know, never an easy deal.
Oh, one thing that can help you hit the apexes, Adam, is your setups, of course. And this is the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Series, brought to you by the Apex Racing Academy, of course. They produce setups and track guides for over 50 cars, including the Porsche Cups that you are seeing tonight. You can purchase bronze, silver, or gold subscription at apexracingac.com. That's apexracingac.com. All lowercase. Get your subscription today, as that is a car off in the background and losing the rear wing. A setup will definitely help with that one.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal there, and it looks like that's going to be potentially that might be someone else. Let's have a look at Dominic Beck. Oh dear, that's a Sim Racing Norway car off in the background. That's going to be Christian Carlson, big for the championship standings here. But yeah, Dominic Beck just going a little bit wide through there. Does he hit the barrier? No, he doesn't. So very, very lucky boy you are, Dominic Beck. The German will regain his position there in 11th, but that now puts 2 cars between Lenny Kiefer and Gordon Haug. So yeah, not ideal whatsoever there. And this is Christian Carlson, it seems like. Of course, we saw him go off in the background, and he's got absolutely no rear wing, no rear downforce, so it's going to be light as a feather. Off he goes into the tyre barriers. Bonk.
Yeah, just a bonk with the barrier, and oh, this is going to be side by side, and a bonk with another. Around goes Schultz. So one bonk to another. Not what you would have hoped for tonight. Down into P number 13. Try not make contact with others. Here comes Russell on wheel, trying to make their way round. Going to be holding on to this. The Walk Racing Esports driver going to be going off the grass, doing a bit of lawn mowing, reminiscent of Mexico in real life from Formula 1. But that is not what he would have hoped for. He's going to lose out at wheel, and he's going to lose out at Parker, and he's going to get a slow down the top of that. So don't cut the circuit. If you're new to sim racing, sim racing folks, a little tip of advice: don't cut the circuit, as it will end up in a penalty. But you can get up on the podium place, as Corey Lazarus is trying to do at the moment. This is the battle for the final place on the podium. Petrig, Lazarus, Portelli Ruiz, Bjorklund, Munson, and then you've also got Obfor, Haug, Beck and Sequeira all closing in slowly on this, but it's mainly Petrick and Lazarus with 4 other drivers astern as they head down this back straight here at, of course, Road Atlanta. I almost called it Road America for a second. As they continue here, it is the Frenchman who leads, followed by Despotakis and Petrick. Corey Lazarus is right in that rear view, though, with this lovely camera, as he's going to try it here, Adam.
He does try and go around the outside here, and Joey Petrick is really feeling the pressure, but with the inside line, will Corey Lazarus be able to get through? Yes, he does, and so does Frank Porte-Ruiz, you sly fella. Up he goes, and through goes Kim-Andre Bjorklund. It's a horror show for Joey Petrick, but absolute beauty there. And here comes Frank Porte-Ruiz to try and go up the inside, losing 3 spots in the process with Petrick. And now look at Obernsdorf. He's now looking to try and go on the attack here as well. But I think that might just be Joey Munson, in fact, going defensive, really holding down the station in all honesty. And now we just head our way up the hill and on towards the crest. Oberndorfer really trying to push forward, seeing what can he do. We're going to have a look at a replay here of Corey Lazarus. Now this is important. You can see now he's going to go on the right hand side. He finds the gap. It causes a big defensive maneuver from Petrick, and then just he has that racecraft to know that outside will turn onto the inside. Yeah, just a little bit of a push there. Petrick on the grass, then goes Frank Porte-Ruiz, and then just opened the door there for Kim-Andre Bjorklund. So that would be a very, very frustrating moment there for the Swiss racing driver. And I'm getting something on my timing screen that Frank Porte-Ruiz has just gone through for 3rd place. So the Andorran is really, really on the push here. Now we see Esteban and Obernsdorfer right in the background there. You've seen this whole gaggle of cars. This is literally P3 all the way down to what I believe is going to be P11 here, and again that was the 2 Lion GP drivers really having a bit of a ding-dong here. It is Oberndorfer against Petrick who's been losing places left, right and centre. Dominic Beckett behind him, Gordon Haugen behind him, and Helder Sequeira, who's now gained onto the back of this battle as well. Somebody who hasn't gone with him is Lenny Kiefer, so that will be a bit of trouble for the Luxembourg driver. In toward the double right-hander they go. They're just going to be following each other for now, but I expect more maneuvers to be made, especially when we have less than 30 minutes left to go of this race.
Yeah, it's all to play for at the current moment. 17 minutes in, 25 overall. So they continue here. It's all to their moments and all to their times, trying to move in as quickly as possible. Des Beck, Corey Lazarus are trying to line up a move, yet nothing made for him at the current moment. So the man from the land down under is still going to hold on to it as we get the absolutely lovely static camera there for a second, seeing all the drivers fly by. And Corey Lazarus is slowly bringing that gap down. He is doing it all towards this moment. He is chasing it down like it's a kangaroo in the outback, and it's continuously closing in further and further as we continue here. Down and through, gravity does the work.
Anyway, that aside, we run up with Kim-Andre Bjorklund and down in towards the double right-hander, still chasing Jason Munson here, who's got a bag full of confidence. It seems like in that blue and red car, you can now head down that back straight, but you can see there Frank Porte-Ruiz and Corey Lazarus have been absolutely dueling. Well, there's plenty of ones I can go down here, but I'll leave up to the drivers. They head their way now in towards the chicane. Will Corey Lazarus go for a risky maneuver here? I don't think he should, because there's definitely a championship still on the line, but he does need to get up in P3. Rearwards is Frank Porte-Ruiz. That ridge is going out here, and he's going to force the New Zealander onto the outside. Don't collide. The Porsche's off on the grass as well. The New Zealander tries to just hold it, but he just cannot seem to get past. And the rear going again for the New Zealander this time around. Frank Porte-Ruiz really holding down the guards, they're holding down the castle, and they head their way through this twisty section. It's been absolutely mighty from a lot of them. You know, Corey Lazarus has had a brilliant run, very of recent. Last 4 races, he's been on the podium 3 times, 2 of them which has been a win. Massive race, and that's from the Ben's second race onwards, pretty much. So he's really been pushing his limits. Meanwhile, you know, Frank Porter Ruiz hasn't been here every single week, but of course he is still a superb driver in his own right. What does his form look like? Well, I'm trying to find it. He's had 2 podiums this season at the first race in Mexico and the 60-minute race at Portimao. Again, more fighting down in towards Chicadas. Munson still on the back here of Kim Andre Bjorklund, so I think that was been a move there, and there has been with the Norwegian heading past the Englishman. But I don't think Munson wants to give this one up without a fight, and he's got to be careful here because behind you got Obernsdorfer and Joey Petrick as well. Dominic Beck will be lurking in the background, but you know, we've got less than 5 minutes to go here, Alexa, and this is far from over.
Indeed it is. We're getting closer and closer towards the end of this first race here. Don't forget, top 12, if I am correct, will be reversed and going into race number 2. But this is all over the place. You got Oberndorfer right on the back of Munson right there. So they are fighting like it's tooth and nail, like there's no tomorrow. So who is going to come out on at the top of this? We're going to find out in about 4 minutes time, unless somebody comes to the line with 1 second to go, and we hope that they have enough fuel in the car. As they continue around the left hand, they're going to continue to the line here as you go down the hill, use your gravity, and this is the thing about this circuit and with these cars as well. You see battles as close as this, and as you come towards the end, you get possible moves happening, maybe looking for the outside line, but a little bit too far back is going to be Bjork. It's going to be Munson. So they continue here, although I may take my words back as he's going to try it down the inside, heading through the final corner, still side by side onto the main straight, kicking up some grass there. Oberndorfer is going to make it free abreast. Now down the inside and goes Munson. Little bit of a lock-up there, very big lock-up actually. 4, I believe that was Bjorklund. Oberndorfer is now going to drop back as well. These drivers are going at it. Oh, that did not end up the right way it did. Contact there for Bjorklund, almost spinning around Dominic Beck. Still wheel to wheel, side by side. A little bit of paint scratching as they continue to fight into the left-hander, and they both go round off and into the gravel. There was a bit of door banging, a little bit too much. And it is going to be the gravel for dinner, as those Porsches will not like that. The engineers are going to have to probably get some of the exhaust, unfortunately, going into the next race. But Sikela and Howe are going to benefit from that. I will say this as well. Top 3 in AM is Gordon Howe, Lenny Kiefer and Ryan Stringer. Stringer is battling against Iglesias for that final place on the amateur podium as they continue here. But Gordon Howe, Lenny Kiefer, they've got some pretty decent gaps at the moment. And I do wonder, Adam, because you usually have the information up faster than I do, how will this fare between Kiefer and Howe in the championship?
Lenny Kiefer is pretty solid at the moment in terms of his point standings. I think with Gordon Howe, he will gain a bit because it does look like there is, you know, about maybe 40 points between them. But in a kind of a point structure like this, you know, it won't be too much of a game. But yeah, Gordon Howe will want to keep this consistent for sure. We're going to have a look, it seems like, at an instant between Kim Andre Bjorklund and Dominic Beck. Down in towards the right hander. You see that it gets on the curb, and then you know, there's many ways you can put it, but it's just 2 didn't really go into 1. There wasn't enough racing room between the 2 competitors. And I don't really know if there's anyone you can really blame at the moment, but I think that'd be one down to the stewards' room. We look back to James Parker, who sits 14th in the overall standings. He's sitting right behind a Andorra La Vela driver. So the looks like what could be. I'm going to say that can't be held as Cicada. It looks like it's going to be. Well, I'm not too sure. Well, anyway,
Stringer?
whoever it is, it is Stringer. My apologies on that one. Down on the outside. So Iglesias is the multicolored cut, and Stringer will just keep ahead on that one. And Thomas Byrne will be appearing on that inside line if he's not careful. He wasn't careful because the German's going to get an absolute run here, and he'll go on. Well, I say he'll go on through. That's not the right driver. The white flag is now out. We are very much getting into these closing stages as Sekeda and Oberndorfer continue to do battle for 7th and 8th on the road.
Yeah, they are fighting this tooth and nail right towards the end. Leader, if I am looking at this correctly, is now on the back straight. This is the battle between Sebastian, that's Lenny Kiefer, P number 2 actually, in the amateur standings. So they are getting closer and closer towards the end. Surely we will get visual here, as you always do, because this is prime time. This is prime time here on Apex Racing TV, and that is Paul Jouffreau. He does absolutely amazing wherever he goes, and here at Road Atlanta in the Porsche again, he will claim another victory, and he wins race number 1 here tonight. Tony Despotakis is going to come home P number 2. Porte Luis is gonna come on P number 3, and this fight right now, Oliver Schultz and Oberndorfer. So the debutant looking for P number 8 here.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty close there. Oh, that's a car off on the grass. And looks like Oliver Schultz will finish home in 10th. There's a big whack there. I think that's for Dominic Beck, who doesn't seem very, very happy with his finishing position. It could have been a lot more for the German driver, but unfortunately it will not be the result he wanted. But there will be another race, so stay around because we'll have I believe it will be a 3-minute warm-up, and then we will go into a main race. So whilst the warm-up is going on, of course we will go through the entirety of the results with you. Ruben Cueto finishing home there all the way down, far down. I think the only DNF we had in this race, well, we had 2. Christian Carlson was one of them, and the other one being Danny Huntley. So we will have our 3-minute warm-up, which starts off now. But yeah, when the results appear, we'll go through them. And here they are. Paul Jouffreau is your winner here at Road Atlanta. Ahead of Tony's Despotakis, his championship rival Frank Porte Ruiz will finish in P3, his 3rd podium of the season, with Corey Lazarus hoping, with his hopes kind of dashed slightly, he'd finish home in P4. With Jason Munson there in P5, Joey Petrick will be home in P6. With Gordon Haug in P7, held Sekeda with Sebastian Oberndorfer, and Lenny Kiefer will be our pole sitter for the reverse grid race. That is going to be coming up very, very shortly. David Aslorinonis coming home in P11. More points for him with Oliver Schultz. Without that spin, where on earth could he have been at the end of all of this? Then we go further down. We find Kim Andre Bjorklund, followed by Dominic Beck and Kevin Chevalier down in 15 for the Unity Racing team, with Ryan Stringer and James Parker with Ruben Iglesias. Ryan Stringer, of course, getting another podium in the amateur class. Parker there 17th, Iglesias 18th, 19th Thomas Byrne for the WNSE Motorsports, with Alex Kassir for Snell's Motorsport. Brilliant name. Max Nevenshire, and then Alex Russell with Pascal Ville, Tristan Engelstad. Ruben Cueto rounds it off the grid with Danny Huntley and Christian Carlson, the 2 DNFs that we had during this race. Well, we are now into our warm-up, but of course, Alexa, kind of talk us through that race, because it was a pretty chaotic one.
Yeah, of course, lap number 1, 3 cars going off at turn number 1, so that's what would happen there. Few more collisions throughout the field, and probably the big one, Dominic Beck, also Corey Lazarus having his off-road excursion would end up costing him. So it has really opened up the field. We will get a reversed grid here for race number 2 in the for the top 12, if my memory serves correctly. But it is the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Series, and one way you can get better with your racing is ensuring you have the correct setup and you know the tracks the best you can. And the Apex Racing Academy does that just for you. For over 50 cars, they produce track guides and setups, including the Porsche Cup cars you see tonight. You can get a bronze, silver, or gold subscription at apexracingac.com. That's APEXRACING AC.com, all lowercase, apexracingac.com for a bronze, silver, or gold subscription.
Yeah, indeed, and that will be that for sure will be advertised many a times. I'm sure we'll throw a cheeky one into race 2, which is coming up very soon, because we're just about to end the warm up. We've just gone over 3 minutes according to my timing screen. So there we go. All the cars have now disappeared, and we'll load up the grid as quickly as possible when we can. So really looking forward to see what this is going to be in store for this second race. Lenny Kiefer will line up on pole position with Sebastian Obensdorfer. A big opportunity to take his first podium, or maybe even win if he can stay out in front. Helder Sequeira will be there on the second row alongside Gordon Haug, with Joey Petrick who will be alongside there in P5. Then Jason Munson will be on the third row of the grid with Corey Lazarus and Frank Porte Ruiz, with the fifth row of the grid with the big hitters of Tony Despotakis and Paul Dufro. David Aslorinonis alongside Oliver Schultz in there on the sixth row of the grid. He's down there in P12. Then we find Kim Mondley Bjorklund with Dominic Beck, Kevin Chevalier and Ryan Stringer. James Parker will be in 17th ahead of Ruben Iglesias, with Thomas Worm and Alex Casilla on the 10th row. Then we find Max Nevinchai, the Portuguese driver, alongside Alex Russell and Pascal Biel. Tristan Engelstad on the 12th row of the grid will be 24th. Now we'll look further down onto the final couple of rows. Ruben Cueto in P25. Danny Huntley will be in P26 and Christian Carlson will be in P27. We go racing for the second time here in Road Atlanta. A poor getaway there, it seems like, from Helder Sequeira. Lit up the rear tires and just didn't get away, but in towards turn number 1. Who will come out in the lead? It looks like it will just be Lenny Kiefer trying to keep the inside. That's going to be Sebastian Oberstdorfer, who looks to have gone off the track. It seems like they head their way in towards this twisty section here. Lenny Kiefer trying to hold the lead down. Gordon Haug there to the two amateurs, currently holding down the lead there. Couple of incidents there in the background, it seems like, and then looks like a couple of cars off. I think a few have hit the barrier. The lifetime is going absolutely crazy, but look at the kind of the gaps here. Who's that looking up the inside of what seems to be Jason Munson? That might be Porte Ruiz here, but the two amateurs really leading out in front. They've got to be careful here, because look at Joey Petrick. He's going to be hungry for a podium, but these two drivers really fighting away as Jason Munson just locks himself in front there. Frank Porte Ruiz, Corey Lazarus and Paul Dufro do battle down the back straight.
Gonna look for it as they are going all together. They go into the braking zone as there was so many crashes in those opening stages. It's hard to keep up with them all. I'm sure we'll get some replays of what happened in due time, but other than that, down into braking zone, down in gravity and onto the main straight, they continue here. It is all to play for as we wait for the leaderboard to come up so we can see, you guys can see who's on the opening lap with names. It is Lenny Kiefer who leads, followed by Gordon Haug and then Petrick. So it's all to play for here. Worm is out. This is definitely spicing up. Lenny Kiefer, Adam, we've seen him in the front row a few times. He is not shy to it this season due to the reverse grid. He does know how to defend that position, so we'll see what he can do tonight as they continue here. Looking in the background, that is Paul Jouffreau looking for a move on Porte Ruiz as he's going to go down the inside as the Frenchman, and he's going to get an absolutely lovely move done right there. Munson looking to get past Porte Ruiz as well, using momentum, but it's going to end up not working out. TC gone, ABS gone, round goes Munson into the barrier, and not what he would have wanted tonight. That is unfortunate at the end of the day. Here comes Petrick on the back of Lenny Kiefer. Gordon Haug also there, down in towards the braking zone of the chicane, wanting to hold onto the line. They're doing a pretty fine job of it at the current moment. Over the curbs a little bit, a little bit of a rear end wiggle there for Sequeira, but now going to go for a square as they head through and onto the main straight again.
Oh, that's going to be a hell to Sakata off onto the grass. And now he'll ride on board here with the championship leader of Pool G Pro already up into P4, second of the pros, but it'll be so crucial if he can get past potentially Petrick, because then it should be pretty easy pickings. But yeah, it seems like we've got another driver in fact ahead. I think that might be a laps car, potentially Alex Casilla, I want to say. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure. It does seem to be the Casilla and Vern, because they are within the same vicinity there. There is Alex Casilla, there is Lenny Kiefer. So we're now seeing both these guys pretty close here. Corey Lazarus dives up the inside there of the Andorran driver of Sakata. Frank Porte Ruiz dropping right back after his early efforts. There you can see Kevin Chevalier in the midst that in the gold and black Unity Racing Team car. He's going to blast past the pro driver, and they'll head their way on toward that chicane. But you can see there the drag so effective there for Ruben Iglesias, but they'll head on towards the chicane they go. And let's see who comes out in front. Oh, this is going to be a risky one from the Lion GP driver, and I think that's going to be potentially Tony Despotakis, who's trying to get through and find any form of position, any form of points that he possibly can, because Paul Giffro has just gone over the line with the fastest lap of the race, the 1:20.692. Up to second place he goes, past Gordon Haug as well.
Yeah, 7 positions up since the race start, and we're only on lap number 4, so he is on a charge right now, and no, he's not. He's chasing him down. I thought he got past Lenny Kiefer for a second because the colours were playing tricks, as they are going to go and continue here. Lapped traffic now getting in the way for the first time here at Road Atlanta. They're going to be having a go wheel to wheel, side by side with the lapped as we head into the braking zone and out of the back circuit, out of the back end of the circuit, and nice and tidy there. But it's not going to be a good launch there by Lenny Kiefer. Paul Giffro is going to be side by side with him, just like Gordon House side by side with Petrick for a square down this back straight. Now going to be fighting against it and going absolutely amazing here into the braking zone as Gravity does the work again, and now onto the brakes. Who's going to hold it out better this time? It looks like Paul Giffro is going to get on the inside, and it looks like he's going to get ahead. Lenny Kiefer though is not giving it up yet. Gordon Haug also there versus Petrick. These amateur drivers bringing the fight to pro. Never forget, it may be a category, but it does not define you. Corey Lazarus, P number 5 overall at the current moment, looking to go down the inside here on Petrick. Wheel to wheel, side by side. Corey Lazarus on the outside, I should say. Now on the inside as they head into turn number 2. Fighting and squabbling all over that fight. All over that P5 position, but it looks like they're going to be holding on to this position, and they are going to stay where they are at the moment. Dominic Beck, I would say it's been a pretty unfortunate race for him today, so he will have to go again next time around. But don't forget, we are approaching the end of the season, as in the background there, you see it happening. You got Sakala, you got Lazarus. Lazarus is going to get past Sakala as he went down the inside. That is a nice move done for the moment there. Tristan Engelstadt also on the back of this fight.
He is indeed, and this battle can continue to close up. You see there, they're all just stuck in a line now. Of course, in Porsche Cup, you get no thing called DRS chain, because of course there's no DRS on these cars, only in the single seater. So yeah, none of that's going on here. It's just pure racing. On toward the chicane we go. Gordon Haug trying to stay within touching distance of Lenny Kiefer. They had their way over the crest onto the back straight. We'll see Joey Petrick trying to get on through. This is a replay of what seemed to be turn 1 lap, well, a couple of laps ago. That's that's Oliver Schultz getting a hit there from the what seemed to be the 188, I believe, and then pulling over to the side. It's been an absolute dismal day for the Polish driver. That was Dominic Beck, another driver that has just had an awful end to his evening. I think he's gone and said, I want out of here. I'm not dealing with any of this anymore. Down into yeah, we'll see this again, but yeah, we just can't seem to get the full thing. So yeah, it will be Oliver Schultz. He is out of the race. So is Ruben Cueto. So is Dominic Beck, and Alex Casilla has recently retired from the race as well. So yeah, really unfortunate to lose a couple of the drivers, but we've got an unexpected fastest lap setter. Sebastian Obensdorfer, 1:20.310, down in well, what position is that? Because we can't. We've got the couple of numbers there jumbled up, but I'm being told in my ear he's down in 20th position, so that's not going to be ideal whatsoever for the Austrian driver. He's right the way down. I hope to see him in the last round of the championship, which will be back over in Europe, will be in Imola. Oh, there's a couple of changes happening there. That's Tristan Engelstad, who's gone into a little bit of trouble. He does seem to be dropping quite the bit here as well, so I wonder if there's been a little bit of a parking up, maybe down at the chicane, it seems like. But we're looking back here with Gordon Howe, and he's now sitting in 5th place. Corey Lazarus just in front of him, but he's got to be careful behind, because look at how the Sakara and the rest of the gang.
Yeah, he's going to have to hold on to it, but at the current moment he's 3 positions on track, 2 drivers in front of him between himself and Lenny Kiefer, who is trying to battle and get those championship points on, but now he's going to have an even harder job as he goes through, as that is Lauren Onis versus Porte Luis, who we are currently watching into the braking zone, and you head onto the back straight, wheel to wheel, side by side, getting very close there between the 2 drivers. They are having a proper fire as they go down the back straight here. Tony Despotakis also going to have the moment and choose his time, because he is in the turbo and under the slip, as that is a car off in the background. That is going to be Parker, who has gone round and into the barrier on the back straight there. Possibly contact with, I believe it may have been Wheel. We'll most likely get a replay of that shortly, but that was very, very close. Here is the replay. We saw it in the background as a coming. Oh, so there is Parker, and this is what happened here. So it looked like that is what we saw in the background, that big hit of it going round. But there was even more before that. Was that Sakala? I'm trying to figure out if that was Sakala, because that's James Parker in the pit lane. There was some, no, Sakala's higher up, so this is before it all went down. This is Jason Munson, who we are watching here. You can already see the smoke rising from the initial collision. Rear end lost another contact with another car, and that is bye-bye bumper. And oh, that is a massive hit. So what originally was 2 cars turned into 4. And Bjorklund in there as well, so went from 2 to 4 to 5. That is incredibly unfortunate down the back straight. That's something you usually see at the Nordschleife.
Yeah, I don't think he held it brakes. In fact, let's have a look at Kim Andre Book. Oh dear,
that's just a clip on the
this
front
is what
right.
I expect to get. You're right. I think what happened there is just tried to slow up, just avoid the accident. You know, no need to try and blast through and pretend you're Kimi Räikkönen at Spa. He just decided to take his time, got absolutely whacked like it's from a baseball bat on the side there. Meanwhile, speaking of a couple of battles, it looks like Joey Petrick is going to be battling 3 wide in towards turn number 1. How well did that go? Not many times it hasn't gone well, but they managed to just sort themselves out. Petrick up to 2nd, Kiefer into 3rd, make that Corey Lazarus this time around. They head their way on toward the S's. We're over a third of the way through this race. My word, it has been one of the more entertaining ones, I can tell you, for that for free. Lazarus trying to attack the circuit as much as he possibly can. Lenny Kiefer will be in behind for sure, but he'll be hoping to stay ahead of Gordon Howe. I think that'll be his main mission, as well as try and get as many points as possible. Looking around potentially where Paul Dufro's championship challenges are, you've got Corey Lazarus there in P3. Looking further down, I think you've got Tony Despotakis there, P7. You've got Kim Andre Bjorklund, who's been massively whacked, and he's down there in, well, it seems like around about P20-ish. Again, the numbers are still not quite correct, so I can't quite make an exact figure. What about Helder Sakara playing the attacking role here on Lenny Kiefer? Will definitely want to try and get past the amateur driver. Now, they may be put into that amateur class, but that doesn't mean he's slow by any means. It looks like for now, Lenny Kiefer is just trying to play a little bit of a defensive role for sure, but I don't think he'll be disappointed if Sakara tries to go for the overtake here again, just tries to get in the mirrors of the driver from Luxembourg. And this is some pretty spicy racing, but yeah, if Lenny Kiefer is to potentially lose that place to Gordon to Helder Sakara, that would be a little bit worrying. Meanwhile, there's more contact. Oh, that looks like Frank Porte-Ruiz being sent out there by David Aslorinonis, and that was a little bit more troublesome. That was a little bit more, I think, obvious compared to what we saw with other drivers earlier on this race. And I think there'll be a very, very disgruntled Frank Porte-Ruiz who are thinking, I did not deserve that one bit. But that's the toughness about going up that section of circuit here at Road Atlanta. It's tight, it's tricky, it's blind. You've really on the limit, and you have to really have faith in the cars around you.
Yeah, replay going to be going Frank Porte-Ruiz, initial contact there.
Ooh.
Tries to stay on the circuit, but no. And one tap off the circuit you go. That is another, that's it. It's a give and take, but off track you got to rejoin safely, I would say. But like we always do, we'll leave it to the stewards, because we're non-biased. Because we are just the commentators. It is the stewards' job, and they deserve all the appreciation for what they do. Petrick right now holding on to this position. Corey Lazarus, P number 3 currently. He's got past Lenny Kiefer a little bit earlier on. He's going to be all over the back of him. He's 2 positions up since the race start is Corey, using the curb to his momentum, and into the left-hander now, and over the curb, right up against the rear end. It is going to be a lapped car in between them though, so looks like Corey Lazarus is going to look for an inside move. Moving to the right-hand side is Joey Petrick to try and cover it off, but the up and under is going to be opted for from the man from the land down under, and it's going to be all over the curb, and maybe a squeeze. A little bit of a rear end wobble there, having to correct the car. You see Lenny Kiefer in the background there, still holding off Sakela, hopping in the toe, hopping under the wing as they head down the hill towards the braking zone, moving over to the left-hand side, trying to get the clean air is Petrick. Corey Lazarus, though, knows the outside line. He will have the inside line into the right-hander after this left. Is he going to go for it? No, he's not close enough yet. He's going to have to slot him behind one more time with these amazing cameras that you get. Oh, slide there, though, for Petrick. Don't know if it was contact with Lenny Kiefer due to the camera angle. There may have been slight, but it hasn't really affected them both, as Carlson has got past Porte-Ruiz a little bit further back. You see the other drivers, Stringer also getting past Iglesias, but Iglesias now getting past Stollinger. So Iglesias, Stringer and Engelstadt all locked in their fight further back, but this battle fought on the podium. Maybe a little bit of net bump there as they headed through that corner, but that's going to give Corey Lazarus P number 2 to get past Petrick and move his way further up onto the podium. However, 6 seconds behind Paul Jouffreau at the moment. Of course, Adam may correct me here, but IRL European NASCAR.
You are correct in that one. You was a very happy Alexa there. Behind the microphone, but yes, if for any of new viewers, Paul Jouffreau, a Euro NASCAR driver, of course, the only European certified series that races around Europe. So if you want to go watch NASCAR, but you're in Europe and you may not, you may not have the money to go to America, just go and search up Euro NASCAR. You may see Paul Jouffreau racing into your local race circuit here. Meanwhile, David Aslorinonis hard on the brakes in towards just fitting in that gap, but unfortunately goes out the gap, finds a bit of grass, and he gets a slowdown penalty. That's a little bit harsh, I think, there from iRacing. But he did go off the track, but yeah, too wide, I think. There's too much speed into the corner. Meanwhile, Petrick on the defensive here. And looks like Lenny Kiefer will be again looking to just keep himself there. Gordon Hauger's dropped 2 cars back as well from the amateur championship leader, so that will be more promising signs from the driver from Luxembourg. They head their way on toward this really fast, tricky section of corners, trying to find every single ounce of performance in that car. Joey Petrick is doing superbly well during this one. He's been a really strong driver that's been really holding down his own, really been holding that Porsche down into his position. Meanwhile, Helder Sakera is again having another really good race. You know, sometimes these ACA esports team drivers will have really tricky races. There will be races where they just don't go their way. And they will have some pretty disappointing performances, I think, from their side. Then there will be races like we saw at Hockenheim, where I think it was the other ACA esports team driver of, I believe it was Ruben Iglesias, who was right at the top end. It might have been Helder Sakera, but it was definitely one of the two. But yeah, they were fighting right at the top until the last lap at Hockenheim. Let's have a look back here with the cam of Ryan Stringer. can see there here in the background with that quad dash kind of pink and grey and black gradient car. He'll come around that last corner and see if we can potentially make a move here on Ruben Iglesias. This is going to be important because it is for P3. It is for the podium in the amateur class. He'll slice his way up the inside and try and bring in Tristan Engelstad. The two quad dash racing drivers will try and work together on this one. There's been quite the confidence there from Ryan Stringer in making that move. But he will now just have to try and see if he can potentially make his teammates get involved in the battle. Again, Tony Despotakis, another driver, fighting his way through.
I'm going to look for it now. We are just over the 18-minute mark, over 30 minutes overall. So still quite a bit of time for these drivers left to make their way through. So it's never over till it's over, as many people say. But one thing that can help you get to the end is the Apex Racing Academy. This is the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Series, as we see a beautiful view of the circuit right here. The Apex Racing Academy, you have bronze, silver or gold subscriptions. As you see these drivers go 4 wide in a battle like this, you can get help with setups and track guides for over 50 cars, including the Porsche Cup cars that you are seeing tonight. You can get a bronze, silver or gold subscription at apexracingac.com. That's apexracingac.com. All lowercase, apexracingac.com for a bronze, silver or gold subscription to the Apex Racing Academy. And those 4 drivers were having an absolutely amazing fight there, as once again with the camera of Ryan Stringer, you can just see how much they wrestle these cars as you go over the curbs. As the force feedback does start to kick in, they are having a mad dash tonight in the quad dash car, as Orbendorfer is going to get past Carlson. Shavler gets past Carlson. Is Carlson dropping down the order a little bit, or that 3-car fight is really happening? Because no, there's a 2-second gap between Orbendorfer and Shavler, so something happened to Carlson.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's may have had a bit of a moment and just rejoined behind Kevin Chevalier. So I wonder if that was a bit of contact potentially, or maybe a self-mistake there from Carlson himself there. But it looks like we'll get a replay on this. It seems like this is Christian Carlson in towards that left-hander, top of the S section T5 off the track there, and it seemed like, oh, he's gonna get hit. Oh dear, that's a Chevalier. So that was Kevin Chevalier getting all loosey-goosey up at the top of turn number 5 and just absolutely decks Christian Carlson into the wall. Yeah, that was never a nice moment there. Solid concrete barriers around here at Road Atlanta. Now looking back to the main action here, looks like Ryan Stringer has again got past Ruben Iglesias, and now Russell is looking on the back here of the Andorran, who's gone off. Oh no, unbelievable, he's into the barrier. Ruben Iglesias, I think that was maybe just a misjudgment there from Alex Russell. I don't really know what to say on that part. Or a meatball flag for Ruben Iglesias, and that should spell race over.
That happened so suddenly, and that is a tow back to the pit lane. Ruben Iglesias no longer continuing. Here's the replay. So, heading out through turn number 1 right now. They're wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side. This is the replay of what we just saw. A little bit of contact there on the rear left. Oh, trying to go for an inside move in a gap that was never there. And that's a big old boot on the rear left. Honestly, usually try to stay neutral, but I feel like that one's on Russell. I feel like that one is going to be on the driver who spun him round, which is going to be Russell, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was Alex Russell, so the Spaniard who were just sitting in behind it. It was getting pretty dicey in these early stages, but I think this Russell was right on the back of the Andorran driver, and he just didn't give himself enough kind of space to know when he was going to brake, because they've not really battled over the course of this over tonight's race, so they would have had very little knowledge between their racing between each other around this circuit. Yeah, you can say, I have trust in this driver, I know the styles, but when it comes to different kind of circuits as well, you don't really understand their braking points, their steering inputs. So every single track is different. Yes, you maybe know their style. You may have experience between each other, but when you have kind of moments like that on different, it can differ on different circuits. So you may have to take quite a while to learn. And when it's your first time battling between two cars, yeah, it's going to get pretty rough between the two. We saw it kind of went overboard there with Iglesias. Let's have a look to the front here, because we've got the big battle for third place here. Joey Petrick currently leads by Lenny Kiefer, but Kiefer is right on the defensive maneuver here, because Tony Despotakis is trying to do the up and under. He's managed to get the traction here. Is he going to filter himself ahead of Lenny Kiefer? Lenny Kiefer is going to try and do the switch back here. He's going to keep the Greek driver under pressure here. That was an important move there made by Mr. Despotakis in that one. He's trying to just keep himself on the black stuff as well. So it looks like we've got someone just diving down the order, but I think that might be a connection issue. But yeah, really good stuff so far, and that pack of cars is starting to get pretty close.
Yeah, getting closer and closer as this race comes towards an end. Just over 5 minutes remaining on the clock. Of course, an extra 5 minutes added on compared to the first race. So getting closer and closer towards the end here as they do continue. This is going to be an interesting one, though. Lenny Kiefer trying to fight his way through. Wants to put an extra car in between himself and Gordon Howe as they continue here at Road Atlanta. So I would say very different circuit to Imola. If you're going to try get any points around the circuits, I would say you want to try get them tonight, because it's easier to overtake here than it is at Imola, if we're being honest, as there is Paul Jouffreau, who is leading this race with an 8.3 second gap at the moment. He won race number 1, and now it looks like he's on course to win race number 2. How many races has he won this season, Adam?
Would you let the spreadsheet out? So he's won 2 at Okayama, 1 at Mexico, won the 60-minute race at Portimao, and then he won the earlier race at Road Atlanta. This will be his 6th win of the season for Paul Jouffreau. This would be absolutely massive as well. I'll have to calculate, how many how many wins everyone else has, but I think the only driver that can compete with him is Lenny Kiefer, and that's only in the amateur category. Kiefer has had 2 wins at Okayama, a win at Mexico, a win at Portimao, and then a win at the Bend and Hockenheim, and then one the 60-minute race at Barcelona. He had 6 wins coming into Road Atlanta. Of course, he didn't win the opening race, so it looks like Lenny Kiefer looking for his 7th win in the amateur category. That just kind of shows how experienced and the speed of Lenny Kiefer is. I definitely can see him potentially getting I say potentially. Let's not be around the bush. He's probably getting a big promotion next year to the pro class. He definitely deserves it, and it will kind of maybe inspire him to just maybe start training that little bit more and pick up the pace. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but start trying to challenge up for the overall wins, because he's such a solid driver. Again, there's so much to the game you need in racing to be able to be ultra competitive and be up there with those top guys. And I think Lenny Kiefer genuinely has the potential to do that. In all honesty, he's a fantastic driver, and for sure it'll be incredible seeing him in a top division for sure. Let's have a look here with Gordon Haug, Alexa.
Yeah, well, also just on your note, do not forget that the 2 worst results do get dropped from the standings. So more times that you're up there at the top, more it's going to help you out, but you don't want to be up there constantly, otherwise you will lose quite a lot of points. But they do continue around this circuit. We saw Gordon Howe. This is Russell now on the back of Stringer. So the Spaniard versus the Brit, a battle in Europe, a battle of the Europeans in America. Don't see that often. As they continue down this back straight, going to be going to the right-hand side is Russell. Going to see on the little cam how Stringer is going to react both in person, as that is a black flag for Sikela. What has happened there to him? That is going to tumble him down the order at the end. That's going to help out Gordon Haug so much in that moment. Same with Lauren Onis and Porte Louise. There is Helder Kiefer. There is Helder Sikela for ACA Esports team. Surely you've got to wonder what's going to be going through the radio, as did he go airborne for a second?
Yep, so did Lenny Kiefer. They did a couple of bunny hops here. Now Sakeda started to get a little bit aggressive here underneath the rear wing of Lenny Kiefer. Giving the bum. That is going to be a little bit of a... that's an angry Sakeda. That is a very, very angry driver that knows that his race is completely done. So I'm going to go all out and just get whatever I possibly can. He moves to the right-hand side. He tries to side draft the Porsche of Lenny Kiefer. Let's have a look on board with Gordon Howe, so we can get the full picture here. Down on toward the outside lane we go. And through the gap goes David as Lauren Onis. Lauren Onis tries to go for Helder Sakeda this time around because he couldn't quite get the move as he was left on the outside line. He ducked for the pit lane to serve that black flag, and Frank Portier-Ruiz will be on the back of this battle because he's now going to move to the right hand side of the circuit and sweep past Gordon Howe, and that'll be big moment here for Lenny Kiefer. Portier-Ruiz with a black flag as well. Where did he get that?
What? Yeah, what? Black flags galore as we're coming towards the end of this one. We're in the final 2 minutes now, and race leader is coming down the back end of the circuit, so we will be going on to the final lap here. So this is getting even more interesting in this battle for 6th. There's Portier-Ruiz with the black... What? Iglesias in the pit lane, Munson in the pit lane, black flag for Portier-Ruiz, which is going to drop him down the order. That's going to give Davidas Laurenonis an opportunity here to get past. Same with Gordon. No, Laurenonis is going to get a black flag there because of that massive collision at the far right back end of the circuit. Go throughs Gordon Howe gonna take full advantage and avoid the chaos happening around him. Perfect awareness by the Norwegian driver. What on earth did we just witness? Carlson now gonna have an advantage here because the penalties are gonna rack up towards the end. That's gonna promote up Shavler. That's gonna promote up Sikera, I believe, actually, because Sikera's actually served his penalty. This is the incident. We're approaching the end here. Initial contact and 1 bop, 2 bops, and luckily not a 3rd bop.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough one, in fact. Yeah, that came very, very unexpected. I'm already already kind of updating my my little spreadsheet, in all honesty. So half my attention's on the race circuit, half my attention's on the spreadsheet. But yeah, let's have a look here. Frank Portier-Ruiz tried to go round the outside. He's been a little hit up the back, but sorry, that's Lauren Onis, and then on the traction, it just accelerates into him. That's really all on Lauren Onis there. I think he tried to just get a good exit and then just ended up steering into the side of Frank Portier-Ruiz there. So massive frustration there for the Andorran driver. That's the second time that's happened here. Meanwhile, for Paul Dufro, for the second time here at Road Atlanta, wins, and he'll grab a big 140 points. I need to do the calculations, but we potentially have a champion on our hand. But if it will be announced, it will be announced at the first round at Imola. His gap is just that big that I think he may be able to go to go down to get sealed on the first race of Imola. Meanwhile, let's have a look and see what's happened. Lazarus is confirmed second. Here comes Despotakis. Look at that's Kim Andre Bjorklund going side by side. More contact with the Andorran. And I think Frank Portier-Ruiz is not going to be happy. Bunny Lauren Nonis is slowing up as well. And they've both got a black flag. Oh, dear.
Whoa, yeah. Okay. So, double black flag at the end. So, whoever came out of the circuit was going to get that. But contact at the end? I think the stewards are going to have a busy night tonight. But that is Sikela. Sikela is going to come to the line now. Very slowly. Hold on. I'm just thinking here. Sikela's going very slowly. Were they out of fuel?
Has he run out of fuel? Oh, dear.
Well, he's got to the line, so... He's got to the line, so... I will just say this as well. Thank you, somebody in chat, for pointing this out. Orbendorfer, massive comeback in that race as well. in initial contact in P number 1. Speaking of contact, that's across the line there. That's on the car behind. They can't not say anything about that. That's on the car behind. We'll leave it to the stewards. But Oberndorfer with a comeback as well. Don't forget, he had contact on lap number 1. P number 9, Adam.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Oh, let's have a look at Laura Nonis. Oh my goodness, it's Laura Nonis. So I think he's got stuck behind. Frank Portero Ruiz was rejoining. I'm pretty sure we'll have a look back at this. But yeah, Laura Nonis was rejoining. Then here comes Frank Portero Ruiz. He thinks he spots a gap on the inside line there because there's a slow exit there from. Yeah, there's no gap. There was no gap whatsoever. And I think I'm going to be very honest and say, I think that's Frank Portero Ruiz with the red mist. He's got a visor full of red mist. After that incident with David Nonis, that's going to be one very unhappy Andorran, and I think he's going to probably want to log off for the night, and because it is going to be pretty late over in a lot of these countries. But here are your final results. We'll bring them up just to get the leaderboard out of the way. Paul Giuffre is your eventual winner, a big 7.5 seconds in front of Corey Lazarus. Tony Despotakis taking home P3. Joey Petrick will be in P4 ahead of Lenny Kiefer and Gordon Howe. Kiefer taking his 7th win in the amateur class. Then comes Pascal Veal ahead of Christian Carlson with Sebastian Oberndorfer, the Austrian driver. The debutant tonight had some really strong pace in the fast lap. One of 2 drivers that went into the 119. I believe the only driver to do the 119s in both races. That is his pace around this circuit. Kevin Chevalier scores his first top 10 of the season ahead of Alex Roussel, with Tristan Engelstad and Ryan Stringer, both Quad Dash Racing team driver, doing superb, but it's only a 4th and a 5th for them, with Alex Roussel grabbing the podium. David Aslorinonis will finish home in P14 with Max Devin Chai getting another top 15 results. Stronger finish there for the Portuguese driver, as his highest so far has been 14th. Helder Sequeira finishing home in 16. Then we had the kerfuffle that was Kim Andre Bjorklund and Frank Portero Ruiz over 17 and 18, and then we'll move further down where we find Danny Huntley, who was 1 lap down. So was Thomas Verm, so was Alex Sear, and then we had retirements here from Ruben Iglesias, Jason Munson, James Parker, Dominic Beck, Ruben Cueto, and Oliver Schultz for the Luke Mansky Racing Esports team. Yeah, and a wild finish. The tempers really flared over, it seemed like, in that race here at Road Atlanta, and it really kind of really reminisces of a NASCAR playoff, maybe a round of 8 kind of scenario. I don't know about you, Alexa, how much you watch NASCAR, but I know that Jim Cunningham is very much is very knowledgeable in NASCAR. But yeah, I think it kind of reminisced off a round of 8 playoff round. It does look like we have one interview in the. Jim Cunningham is just saying in the production gallery sounds like Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna. So yeah, maybe very similar, but not for the right positions. It does look like we have one driver in the waiting room for an interview, and here he is. Paul Giuffre, welcome. You're live on Apex Racing TV. We meet again. A solid race for you. You know, taking 2 wins. What is it about you in this circuit? Because you absolutely own the place.
Yes, I told you last week, Road Atlanta is a place where I feel really confident. So I had big expectation for this race. We didn't manage to get the pole position, but yeah, our pace was really nice. I think we had some good aggressivity all the race long from both races. Overtaking Corey race 1 was a big move, and after managing the race was pretty nice. And yeah, the second race I took so much fun. It was amazing it was like a go-kart race, to be honest.
Well, you haven't seen any of the action behind, so I'd recommend maybe after just going back and reviewing the entire race because it was absolute madness. But yeah, you had absolutely very little view in the chaos. Kind of talk about that drive from 10th up to first in that second race because you seemed so strong in those overtaking moments, and you seemed really well decisive as maybe some of that real life experience kind of carried over as well from sim racing.
Yeah, for sure. When I'm driving with other drivers, some of them are really good, but yeah, to overtake is an art. To be honest, and yeah, since I'm 12, I'm doing competition motorsport in real life. So yeah, so you have to. It's really hard to make good overtakes because you have to be aggressive, but not too much. If you're too much, you just overshoot the turns or you just dive into your opponent. So yeah, I mean this is one of my strengths. I know it, and yeah, so that's why I took a lot of fun. And yeah, you have to think always 3 turns ahead. You cannot just dive thinking, okay, I will maybe be there at for the second turn. So yeah, when you're diving, you have to think about 3, 4 turns after where you will be, where your opponent will be. So yeah, this is really important to make the good decisions. So yeah, this is something I already train a lot in real life because when you're diving someone in real life, you have to not make mistakes. You can hurt yourself. You can hurt your bank account too. So yeah, you have to really taking care of all those things.
Absolutely amazing. You've really hit the nail on the head there. Let's have a look forward to Imola because it's a very different circuit compared to Road Atlanta. It's pretty again, it's pretty elevated. Well, there's a good flow to it. But what do you think the differences will be going from Road Atlanta on towards Imola?
I will need for sure to train a lot this week because Imola is not a track that I'm really fast on. I I like it, but it's really hard to be fast. It's really about millimeters. For in this track, there is nothing more real than that. You have to really put your car at the millimeters calibration. So yeah, you have to be really precise. Think a lot about the next turns. So yeah, this is a really hard track to be fast on. So yeah, I expect Corey and Tony to be deadly fast there. So I will train a lot to try to beat them. I'm not going to Imola with the same confidence as I was for Atlanta. So you can be sure I will really work a lot on me and on the track.
Absolutely. Before you go, I'll give you your opportunity. Is there anyone you want to shout out or anyone you kind of want to promote?
Yeah, for sure, my team that helped me a lot. Like in every iRacing team, so we are really pushing each other to the limit. So big shout out to Unity Racing Team. And yeah, I know they will look at it. So salut les gars, et on a fait une belle course.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure once again to talk to you. It's becoming a recurring theme, it seems, but it's an ever pleasure. Go and celebrate your win, and we'll speak up. We'll speak to each other very soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the broadcast and thanks everything for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I'll give it a minute. This is the part where I faltered in previous times. Usually we've had people joining in pretty late, but I'm staring. I'm staring at that interview waiting room, seeing if anyone else is coming in. But after what seemed like a pretty chaotic, fiery race, I'm not entirely sure many people want to come in. For us here in the UK, it is 9:30 at night. For others, it's probably 10:30, maybe even 11:30 for some drivers. So I'm sure they'll be shutting off a bit. But Alexa, give us some final thoughts because it's been a pretty chaotic race, that first one, but then we got an absolute fireball from the second one with a lot kind of happening and for sure boiling over.
You mean we don't all stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning doing sim racing? Anyways, that race, I would say race number one. I would say race number one definitely some learning points, but Paul Jouffreau absolute dominance from no surprise for him. Lenny Kiefer tonight as well. I would say very consistent. Same with Gordon Haug. We got to address the elephant in the room, though, don't we? That second race, final 10 minutes, those contacts. I would definitely say that there's going to be a few words from the stewards, to put it in summary. So hopefully we won't see that when we go next time at Imola. But I would say, apart from the contacts, as we see on screen now, but I would say definitely room for improvement going into Imola. But either way, it was a pretty good race, barring the contacts.
Yeah, I definitely think there could have been a couple of moments sorting out there, but overall, it was super entertaining. It's what a Road Atlanta kind of causes. You know, there can be frustrations, there can be moments where it does get a little bit iffy, and then they start bashing each other, which is a little bit frustrating. But you know, I think for a lot of these guys, I think they will just kind of walk away just thinking, you know, that could have been a lot better. I think this should be the only time where it really just boils over. You're seeing there in the background a couple of replays. Sorry, that was just Jim saying "we" in my ear. So I'm not laughing at any of the incident, just to make sure, and in case any drivers look back at this moment. But you just see there these kind of like silly little moments that that really kind of, you know, make the race some entertaining for some, frustrating for others. But I think that's kind of the best point to really kind of wrap this off here. Of course, like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all our social medias and all our streaming platforms. But from myself, Adam Reed, from Alexa Marshall in co-coms, and Jim Cunningham in production, is always making me giggle in my ear, but of course I have to stay as serious as possible. We'll see you on the other side. We'll see you in a week's time at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, where we'll have the final round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup for season 14. Our final will be in the heart of Imola, the circuit Enzo e Dino Ferrari. We'll see you there very, very soon. Take care. Night.
Bye-bye!